Welcome to ARW. I'm Harold, and we're continuing on today with the Joe Pye pantograph or slash engraving machine. Today we're going to make the grinder pivot block. That's this piece right here. To me it seemed a little bit complex. Sort of give me ulcers working it out. And in this video you'll see me put this hole off center, and you'll see how I correct for it. Now what I did was, this piece is 3/4 of an inch here. I made the back jaw of the vise, the Y is 0, and then when I divided 0.750 by 2 I got 350. Well, nobody said rednecks are good at math, and so that made me put this hole off center. But it's now on center. Alright, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make this piece here, the grinder pivot block, and we get to do some boring and drilling and milling and make a ton of chips. Let's oh, and speaking of Joe Pye, he sent me a sticker which is already up on the board, and I'll show you that in just a second, and then we'll get started on our project. There he is, right there by Rusty Knox and Foxburg's Fabricoblin. So we've got Joe Pye on the sticker board. Alright, so unless I'm wrong about what I read on the drawing, and I could well be, this one's going to be 950 thousandths thick at its thickest point. So I'm going to take 25, well, I might as well go ahead and take the whole 50 thousandth off of this side. There's no point in doing it any other way. Well, let me go look at it. There was a reason why I thought that. Unless I made a mistake, this thing's going to be 950 thousandths at its widest point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 50 thousandths off of here, and that will leave us with 950, and then I can start cutting all the features into it. So smooth as the baby's behind. Now it's the time to measure the little bugger. So I guess I should. Right now it's 1 inch and 8 thousandths, so I've got got a ways to go. All right, we'll crank her up about another 15 thousandths. My last measurement was 953, so I decided to go ahead and take that 3 thousandths off to be exactly 950. There we are. I would guess that's fairly close to 950. Alright, so now we have to take this surface down 100 thousandths. And let's come back this way 1.88 inches. Alright, I read the drawing again, and saying this is sitting on the edge, this whole width should be 1.47 at the widest point. So I've got to go ahead and cut this thing down to 1.47, which I haven't done yet. I was working on it with the wrong idea. Well, there's a couple of things involved in this so far that could be learning moments. One is I measured this thing on this end and this end while I was cutting, and I discovered this end was 10 thousandths taller than this end, and I got to looking around, it had actually lifted some in the vise. So I cleaned everything up, put it back, and got it to where I get the same measurement at both ends. So it's good to be sure your vise is tight enough to be sure you're really in there straight, and check before you get through. You don't want to wind up with a wedge. And another thing, I took an awful lot of material off of this. Probably it would have been a lot better to put it in the bandsaw and cut off the most of it, but it's really hard to hold a 2-inch by 3-inch piece of metal in that bandsaw. And you can do it, they just have to be set up right. Anyway, that's a couple things that I noticed on this so far. Let's start fiddling away on this end. Measuring time. I should be within 5 or 6 thousandths. So 1.137. So there you are. That's 100 thousandths there. I've still got to go further back toward the other end to make it long enough. So I'll measure and we'll do that next. Okay, that one's 1.150. So we're dead on. I think that's a good time to leave it alone. My calculator says this end down here has got to come down 1.94 thousandths. So we're going to get really close to that and then check it. I'm going to do a lot of checking. I'm going to make a large cut here, 100 thousandths cut, just so I don't have to reset things. Okay, this way we were headed for 0.985 and we're dead on it. This way we're going for 1.88. We're 7 thousandths too shallow. So we're going to have to come over here and skim 7 thousandths off of that piece right there, which shouldn't be overly hard to do. That should be just a nice little skim across the surface. Okay, now we have to turn this thing over and make this side look just like this side here. And then we'll stand it up on the end and come through and locate all the holes and drill the holes. So away we go. Alright, now I've cut 100 thousandths deep. Now all I need to do is move about 6 or 7 thousandths back that way. And finish that. You can see I've just a little bit away from my markup line. I think you can see it. I don't know. Well, yeah, it's right there by my thumbnail. Alright, so we've made some progress here. We're going to have to thin it down here, 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 and here, I think. But I think it's supposed to be 3/4 of an inch. And then we'll need a hole here and 2 holes up here. So let me deburr this thing and we'll get set up for the rest of it. Now, I don't mind telling you that this particular piece has given me its share of ulcers. Just making sure I got it all right. Visualize it correctly. We'll work closer. Okay, we wound up with this thing almost to size. It's 60 thousandths too wide this way, but it's the right size that way, and as you remember the drawing, you looked down at it, you saw the little sides sticking out. Well, this is it. And everything else is to size except right here, and we'll do that tomorrow. Alright, I've got 3 holes marked off, 1 here, 2 back here, and so all I've got to do is drill them. This is a 3/4 inch. I don't have a 3/4 inch drill bit, so I'll have to use the boring head to get that one dead on. But anyway, we'll go ahead and mark it. Low gear drill just as good as anything. There's only 2 things left to do here, and that's drill and tap these 2 1032s, and this is a 3/4 inch hole down here. I messed up on centering on that one, but I may even be able to bore it and make it get on center. But in as much as we're doing this, we're going to let that guy down some, and we're going to drill and tap these 2 holes 1032, and I'll have to roll it over and run the tap in from the other side, because these are tapped from both sides. Alright, we'll tap this thing. We'll have to gear it down. I'm going to move you guys over. Alright, a little bit of magic tap. Seems to make aluminum work better. Let's see, we're going to be in low gear. There. I just barely stopped it in time. Alright. We need to move it over, and I'll do the same thing on the next hole. And roll it over and do the same thing on the other sides. Not much use showing you that again over 3 more times. Alright, I found the center with this coaxial indicator. And if you'll see, I'm just within a 1/2 thousandth total of run out there. It's moving 1/1000th, but I'm close enough, because I'm going to go up to 3/4 of an inch. So what we will do here, we'll lift this guy up out of that hole, and we will move back this way about I'd say 100 and something thousandths. Let me see, I calculated it. calculator says 1.125 is how much I'm going to move back, and then I should be able to bore a 3/4 hole that's dead center. I'm on center of this hole. This hole's off center by 1/4 inch. So that's why all the finagling around here for this. And so I'm going to go ahead and set this over to, I'm going to leave it right where it's at for right now. And I will use the incremental 0 on the X. Go ahead and do that. Alright, good on the Y also. Alright, so we're in the center of it. I'll take all this out and I'll put my boring head in there, and then we'll fix it all up. Okay, when I start here, we're going to be a little off center, so I'm going to catch on this side. And I hope that it works out right. We'll see. And that's going the wrong direction, so I have to start over. Okay, I think everything is going to be right now, so let's go for it. Feel up in there and see if that made it through. I think it did. Alright. I'll move it just a few thousandths. Not used to using this thing, so I'm definitely, let's see, it clears everything, so that's a pretty good sized move there. That should get us near where we want to go. Okay, so we're at 7:45. I moved at the equivalent of about almost 5. So we're going to see what we see. This should be really close to 750. Here's 750 right here. Clean off the bottom of this thing, clean out the inside. $750 almost fits. Here's 743. It goes. 744. It goes. So 750 realistically should fit, and it does. I just wasn't holding it right. So there we are. Looks like that's where we stopped. This is 751. and it will almost start. So that's good enough, I think. All right, let's roll it over and tap these two holes here. There we are. We're finished, near as I can tell. So I guess at this point somebody will want to hear a Bubba joke. We'll see what we got. Well, it seems like Bubba's cousin, Bubba Joe, lived down on the river, you know, and across on the other side of the river there was another redneck named Clarence. And they just hated each other, you know. If they was outside and they saw each other, they'd throw rocks at each other and stuff. And Bubba Joe told his wife, he says, you know, he says, one of these days I'm going to whoop that boy, you know. And so sure enough, here come the Corps of Engineers, and they built a bridge across the river. Oh, Bubba Joe was just happy as he could be. And he told his wife, he says, they opened that bridge today. He says, I'm going to go over and whoop Clarence. And he took off, and it wasn't very long at all. He come back. Didn't look like he'd been in a fight or nothing. His wife asked him, well, Bubba Joe, what are you doing back so soon? He says, you know, he says, I ain't never actually seen Clarence up close. He says, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. He says, I got that there bridge, and there's a sign there that says Clarence, 8 foot 3 inches.